You've probably heard the phrase, let food be thy medicine. Well, today we're diving into a preparation that might just be the perfect embodiment of that idea. It's a formula with a history that stretches back from millennia, yet it's built on two of the most fundamental, powerful ingredients you can find in nature. This is the science and the history of the Oxymel.
Our story starts, believe it or not, over 2,000 years ago. When Hippocrates himself, the father of modern medicine, wrote this down, he was basically giving it his seal of approval. He saw it as a useful tool for respiratory support, and with that, he cemented its place in history. It's a pretty incredible endorsement that really shows you the deep medical roots we're dealing with here.
All right, so with a history like that, you've got to ask, what exactly is an Oxymel? Well, the name itself is actually a brilliant little piece of science.
The name tells you everything you need to know. It comes from two ancient Greek words, oxus, meaning acid, and meli, meaning honey. So quite literally, it's acid honey. It's one of those rare cases where the name is also the basic recipe. Pretty clever, right?
And that's the core principle right there. At its heart, an Oxymel is a vehicle. It's a way to pull the beneficial compounds out of herbs. Those two key components, the vinegar and the honey, they aren't just thrown together. They're functional partners in this really elegant yet incredibly simple extraction process.
And this is so crucial. These two ingredients work in synergy. This isn't just a simple mix. No, it's a chemical partnership where each part has a very distinct and complementary role to play.
Okay, so let's break down this division of labor. First, you've got the vinegar, usually raw apple cider vinegar. It's the solvent. Its acetic acid is like a master key, unlocking and drawing out all sorts of compounds from the plant material. And if you're using raw ACV with the mother, you get this extra bonus of proteins, enzymes, and beneficial bacteria. Then, on the other side, you have the honey. It's the preservative. Its antimicrobial power is amazing. It has a low pH, a super high sugar content that dehydrates microbes, and it even has enzymes that produce tiny amounts of hydrogen peroxide. All of that, and it makes the whole thing palatable, which is, a huge plus.
So now let's take a little trip back in time. The history of the Oxymel is this fascinating thread that weaves through some of the most important eras of medicine and science.
What's so amazing is the consistency. Look at this. It starts with Hippocrates in ancient Greece. Then a couple hundred years later, it pops up in the writings of the Roman statesman Cato the Elder. Fast forward to the Renaissance and all the way through the Victorian era, and it's listed as an official preparation in European pharmacopoeias. You could get it like a prescription. And now, here in the 21st century, it's having this massive revival in modern herbalism. That kind of staying power is just remarkable.
Now let's talk about that third crucial piece of the puzzle, the plants themselves. Because really, the whole point of the vinegar and honey base is to create the perfect medium for botanical extraction.
And the science here is it's key. The choice of vinegar as the solvent is absolutely not random. Its chemical structure, its acidity, it's all uniquely suited to pull out valuable compounds from herbs that other solvents might just leave behind.
So you might be asking, why vinegar? Why not something like alcohol? Well, as you can see here, vinegar is an absolute champion at extracting minerals. Its acetic acid is incredibly good at breaking down the cell walls of plants, releasing all those minerals and making them available to our bodies. And that's a really important distinction, because alcohol-based tinctures, they're not nearly as good at that specific job. So for mineral-rich herbs, an Oxymel is a far superior choice.
And the applications are just incredibly diverse. I mean, this table is really just a tiny snapshot of how versatile this formula is. Depending on which herbs you infuse, you can tailor an Oxymel to support pretty much any body system you can think of. From immune boosters like elderberry and garlic, to digestive aids like ginger, all the way to herbs for the respiratory and nervous systems. This adaptability is, without a doubt, a huge reason for its staying power through history.
Okay, so that brings us right up to the present day. Let's take a look at how this ancient formula is fitting into the modern wellness world, and importantly, what the latest scientific research has to say about it.
I love this quote because it holds so much practical wisdom. A huge driver of the Oxymel's comeback is simply its taste. Let's be honest, alcohol tinctures can be pretty harsh, but the sweet and tangy flavor of an Oxymel makes it way more accessible. And that means people are more likely to actually use it consistently.
A perfect example of this modern renaissance is fire cider. You've probably heard of it. By its very definition, it's an Oxymel. It's a vinegar and honey base that's been infused with a bunch of spicy, pungent herbs. Now, it's important to remember all fire ciders are Oxymels, but not all Oxymels are fire cider. It's just a great demonstration of how this ancient foundation can be adapted for very contemporary wellness goals.
Now, from a strictly scientific standpoint, it is really important to be clear about this.
Despite literally thousands of years of traditional use, the body of modern clinical research on oxymels as a specific preparation, well, it's still pretty young.
So here's where things stand. The current research is promising, but it's very much preliminary. There have been some clinical trials that have started to look into its effects, but they're often limited by really small sample sizes, which makes it hard to get clear data. In fact, a major systematic review from 2023 basically concluded that while this is a really worthy area for more investigation, we need much more robust, large-scale studies before we can draw any definitive scientific conclusions about its effectiveness for specific conditions.
So after this journey through all this science and history, let's just step back for a second and think about the legacy of this unbelievably simple formula. When you get right down to it, the Oxymel is a bridge. It connects different worlds. On one hand, it's a piece of living history, a direct line back to the wisdom of our ancestors. But at the exact same time, it's this fascinating subject of modern scientific curiosity, just waiting for us to explore its potential with all our new tools.
And that really leaves us with this one big, fascinating question. In a world of constantly changing medicine and wellness trends, how has this incredibly simple mix of just acid and honey remained relevant, effective, and respected for more than 2.5 millennia? Maybe the answer is right there in its elegant simplicity and its deep connection to the natural world.
It really is a formula that, in so many ways, is simply nature optimized.